Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. I want to start off our week with something juicy and passionate. And this is something that I've been really longing to introduce and share to everybody because this is the one thing that has truly made my life so magical. And today we are discussing what is Tantra? What is Viseros? If I could start my spiritual practice all over again, if I knew nothing, I would hands down start with Tantra. It is one of the things that really has kept me sane all throughout my life, all the things that I've gone through. I've been studying it my whole life, and my higher self has been guiding me through it all. And I think the day has finally come that I also share this to you. I wanted to I wanted to create Visceros, meaning power, and Eros, meaning life force, to incorporate all the philosophies I've learned in the East and West and synthesizing them into practical applications that you can use in your earthly life while you're also ascending. These topics today are going to be a bit more advanced. We will talk a little bit about the philosophies, the light body, and in this series, we will get more into sacred sexuality, Taoist sexual alchemy, and many more. Sex is a whole system, and my goal is to help you embody inner wealth so that this reflects back in your outer life. I want to share with you this 5D leadership and what my philosophies are because most businesses are not peaceful. And I've seen time and time again where leaders, CEO feel burnt out. They have sexless marriages, they can't find a partner, and we're just exhausting ourselves. I wanted to bring back this passion, bring back this vitality, and I wanted to wake up every day excited for what I was creating. I wanted my cup full that I'm oozing with this vitality. I wanted to bring this passion back. I've worked with Fortune 500 companies, people from different walks of life, started my photography business, Etsy, skincare, worked in healthcare as a chronic care manager. I've been a banker, financial analyst, yoga teacher, and now I'm an energetic mentor. And I'm just Celine with many, many interests. I stopped labeling myself because I'm a seasonal worker. I never know which identity I'm going to be in the next few months or the next few years. This is just me here right now, being myself and my creative pursuits. I am a creator. I have tried it all. I am a multi-dimensional being who loves many things. I feel most alive when I'm creating, when I'm moving and sharing my interests. If I'm not creating, I get really down and life feels stagnant. I didn't see all the challenges I've been through as failures. They were stepping stones for who I was meant to be. I'm a bit unconventional how I approach business and creation because what I will teach you is the energetics of business. This is the tantric way of creation that you feel alive and thriving because now you will be using your life force energy. This is a body of work that wants to weave ancient intimacy and future technology where power becomes devotion and leadership truly becomes your frequency. In this new paradigm of leadership where consciousness, creation, and currency are not separate, being heart based is a consciousness frequency, one that moves from domination and hierarchy into more of unity, coherence, and embodied love. Being a heart based leader is the antidote to the old paradigm of achievement that costs one's soul. It is leading through resonance rather than control. It is the energetics of coherence and the language of embodied truth. So, when I was a financial analyst and I was dreading looking at spreadsheets, I wanted to figure out how can I make money feel ecstatic, that I'm excited to make more money. Like, Not just happy, but a full body fuck yes, where it is so deeply nourishing, soul saturating, and expansive. And the more that you tap into this energy, the more that you really cultivate power within yourself, you will find that making money is so erotic. And this was the thing that really shocked me because every day I would just jump out of bed and I was so excited because, oh my God, my body was just buzzing with these subtle energies. And I'm going to send you some frequencies so you can kind of feel and taste what it's like to embody this tantric energy. I knew that I wasn't going to find these in business books or courses. I had to resort to unconventional ways. If I wanted to be happy and ecstatic and make more money, I had to go on a long quest to search who am I? I needed to root down my why. Why am I even here? Why am I creating? What do I have to offer to the world? After being in healthcare, this is when I decided that if I should continue my path in my medicine. After being in healthcare, I was a sophomore in college and I had to really decide if I was going to continue the medicine path or completely go out of the way more into my spiritual path. I talked to my guru and he said, "Do you want to be spiritually wealthy or materially wealthy?" And I said, "I want both." And he said, "Okay." So I went on my yogic path. I dove into Taoist Buddhism and Tantra and just all kinds of stuff. And that's when I created Visceros. Vis meaning power and Eros meaning passion. I wondered, how can I combine the beauty of Tantra, the sensual energy, and Taoist sexual alchemy together with money? After years of training and years of preparing myself, my vessel, my containment, I think I've finally landed and figured it out. I've helped hundreds of entrepreneurs now feel lighter and aligned with their business and who they are. And so, this ecstatic wealth is not just about accumulation, it's about circulation. It's wealth as arrows, life force, the currency of life moving through you when you are really living in purpose, pleasure, and service, as in symbiosis. Ecstatic wealth is this full body yes of receiving life in all its forms, in money, love, beauty, opportunity, without the extraction or guilt or manipulation. This is the initiation into worthiness, receptivity, and the art of allowing expansion to feel really safe. In today's age, this digital world has really fragmented our human attention, and I'm here to bring these tantric principles of union back into it. Tantra teaches that everything can be sacred when met with presence. And I truly believe that entrepreneurship is a spiritual hero's journey. To start, what is Tantra? At its heart, Tantra is about presence. Not only sexual presence, though that's the one that gets the most attention, but it is a whole way of being. There's actually so many philosophies that go into Tantra. And this is to awaken inside the ordinary. The word itself comes from Sanskrit root meaning to weave. Its essence is the understanding that spirit and matter and body and awareness are not separate, but part of this whole ecosystem. In the old text, there's not just one tantra, there are many streams. And some focus on more of the ritual and mantra, others are more into the breath and meditation, and some on conscious intimacy. What ties them together is the movement from fragmentation towards wholeness, where a lot of the spiritual practice, this is more aimed into like escaping the world. Tantra moves in the opposite direction. So you're moving into the world, into the body, into the sensation, thought, and relationship. And it's telling us that don't run from this pulse of life and really enter it, feel it, and see the divine moving through it. The sexual aspect is symbolic of this same principle. So there's two energies, the masculine and the feminine, Shiva and Shakti, the stillness and the movement. And they both meet and dissolve into one another. It is primarily about the technique. It is about seeing every touch, every breath, and glance as part of the same consciousness. What I really love about it is that it teaches you how to become a better lover. It teaches you how to become a better friend, a better daughter, just your way of living. It is so intimate. At its deepest, Tantra really teaches that things are sacred when it is met with awareness. Everything you do, from eating, brushing your teeth, breathing, working, making love, grieving, all can become a power of prayer if your mind is fully present, because now you're touching into the subtleties, right? The effervescent things. So, backstory, I was 22, and this is when I really took Tantra more seriously. My very first teacher was a Tibetan monk, and I would go to the temple on Sundays and had a meditation group there. Before we get to the ecstatic parts, it was years of practice understanding the philosophies. A lot of the stories and lores are quite important because when your mind is not prepared, your vessel is not yet purified. When you get into these advanced meditations, it's almost like you're getting thrown into the ocean. So if you don't know how to swim, you're going to get in trouble. So it really took a little bit of understanding what the methodologies are, how to stay in your body. And all of these stories are there for a reason because they're not just myths, they're almost like maps. So they're training your imagination to see in symbols. Because if you've tried to astral project or other things, your logical brain will actually quiet and you will use more of your feminine side. And when these experiences deepen, the mind doesn't panic. And if you don't have that foundation, the intense meditations or energetic work, how to protect yourself, it can feel like drowning. What my teacher was doing was shaping my vessel. We create these energetic architectures within your mind so that when you get into higher level states of awareness, you have more of an expanded awareness. It doesn't feel overwhelming to you. You can still ground here on earth. And I would think meditations and mantras, they're kind of like boats, right? The boat is really intended to sail across the ocean. Now, you can use the boat to shield you from the rain or put whatever things on it, but what it's really intended for is the purification of this life force. And so a lot of the philosophies were teaching about restraint, concentration, understanding of karma, and compassion, and how to keep awareness steady while the body begins to open. And it's the same principles as in deep art. The container has to be strong before it can hold the current. Another example is like you are creating a house. We would go into refuge, meaning we are entering the temple of the divine. You do your prostrations and chant your meditation. We wouldn't just leap into meditation. We would prepare, cleanse ourselves, bow, chant, take refuge. And you open yourself through posturations and mantras, then you enter the temple of the mind. You receive the dharma or the wisdom. After that, you close with reverence. It is very methodical, almost repetitive. It is what sanctifies it. Through rituals, the ordinary becomes sacred. Same with surgeries, right? The surgeon doesn't just rush into cutting. They first scrub, gown, prepare, and only when the body is ready that they can perform, heal, and close with precision. Ceremonial almost. It is having that reverence. It carries the weight of devotion to life itself. I often see this in traders also who thrive long term moves in ritual arcs. They would prepare their charts, review their notes, center themselves before entering the market, and trade not just on impulse, but on discipline. It is that neutrality and timing. They would execute and then they would close and record. It is a bit monastic in its ways. In each case, the ritual cultivates character. It builds the muscle of patience, resilience, neutrality, and devotion. It helps strip away a lot of the cravings for quick fixes and a lot of the easy wins. The same applies to relationships and wealth creation. In love, many chase the thrill, the quick hit of passion, the novelty, but it easily burns out. Only those who tend the fire daily through rituals or intimacy, a lot of the check ins and shared practices, this is really builds a strong foundation and temple that can endure. Likewise, in wealth, many crave shortcuts, but true builders understand that it requires discipline, long term vision, and showing up even on dull days. It is really that boring, mundane things that is the thing that will help you really create wealth. But how can you make these boring things become more of a fun challenge? That it is more of a ritual, a ceremony within your day to day life rather than seeing it as work. So, just like for me, when I'm creating content, I would light a candle. It really helps me center and be present with what I'm doing. I'm not overthinking. My mind is not worrying. I'm just here, present in the moment inside my body. With that awareness, it becomes more pleasurable. The problem nowadays, we need Tantra, especially its philosophies. Most of us live cut in half, some not even using their life force at all. And modern life is trying to pull us in many different directions. Life pulls the body one way and the mind another. We think constantly and consume stimulation, plan, perform, but we rarely feel what it's actually like to be here and to really feel. Tantra addresses that split because the philosophy says that awakening is not somewhere else outside of our bodies, it is inside the very sensations and emotions and relationship we usually rush through. I prefer Eastern meditations more because most of the Western philosophers spiritually bypass the body, which the Asian philosophies really prioritize. That's why we practice Qigong, yoga, martial arts, and many more. Without that understanding, power, sexual emotions, creativity, it all just gets distorted. And so our desires becomes more of an addiction and this energy creates anxiety. Spirituality becomes more of an escape. Tantra's logic is that none of these forces are wrong. They're just simply unconscious. When awareness starts to re enter them, they transform back into vitality and compassion. So, a lot of the old teachers built these philosophies so that the practices would have a compass. And they taught a lot about ethics, the nature of the mind, interdependence, emptiness, and the balance of opposites. These teachings stop a student from mistaking stimulation for awakening, and they make sure that what opens also integrates in the body. Right now, in the world that moves really fast and with AI and all these new technologies, many of us live on the surface, and that integration is exactly what's missing. Tantra reminds us that the sacred isn't somewhere else after death, but it is here now. It is in our breath, in our touch. The goal of Tantra is wholeness. Everything else, such as ritual or breath, mantra, intimacy, meditation, is to lead a person back to the recognition that nothing in human experience is separate from the awareness itself. I am in the business of liberating people's souls, and I have somehow become a gardener of souls, and that is my dharma to do. So, in practical terms, the first thing is integration. The body, emotions, the mind stop being treated as enemies or distractions, and they become part of the same field of consciousness. The next is liberation from habits. When you grow your awareness, a lot of the impulses and fears lose their automatic pull. So when I was really trying to lose weight, all I needed to do was meditate. And when we calm down our fight or flight, our nervous system, our limbic, a lot of these desires, anger, pleasure, pain, all of the energies that we try to suppress, it all becomes transformed, alchemized into more power, into empowerment. Third one is compassion and presence. The more you recognize that everything is made of the same consciousness, it is easier to meet others and yourself with more patience and care. You understand that we're all suffering. This week, I've been reading White Nights by Dostoevsky, and I'm going to have to do another episode on it because it is one of those books that are very short, but I was having palpitations reading about it. And it's that realization of that unlived moments in your life, unlived potentials. Those kinds of encounters that really makes you ecstatic and terrified, and you realize how poor life has been without it. And in those moments, you feel so open. You also feel how exposed you are. The fourth one is union. In tantric language, it is the union of Shiva and Shakti, stillness and movement. This is the witnessing awareness and the life that it watches. In ordinary life, it is the moment that you stop feeling the split between spirit and matter, sacred and mundane. So the goal isn't to reach higher realms, it's really to wake up inside this one, to see that the divine is in every breath, every thought, every relationship. This is what builds character. It builds the muscle of patience, resilience, neutrality, and devotion. So to start, there are 3 branches. This is the ritual part, and then the mantra is the phrase that accumulates energy, and then yantra is the geometric energy accumulator. Tibetan Buddhism really goes deep into the observer, your higher self, and they use these as a way to influence your outside reality. They understood a lot of the subjective, objective realities. It was really a lot of quantum physics, but they just turned it into something more relatable to people. That's why they had a lot of stories. And Tantra was used as this accumulation of energy from yourself and then projecting it outside of you. And then later on, this brought in the yoga system, meaning union or to yoke outside energetic bodies. You can probably visualize this. It is the surrounding sheath around us that starts to crack to dissolve your ego. Then, from these yoga practices, we had, let's say, karma yoga. This is the action. There's Gaya yoga. This is the path of knowledge and wisdom. You are reflecting, which leads to change logic. And then there's the bhakti yoga, which is more of devotional practice. There's the Raja. This is the 8th step with the yama, niyama. These are the codes of conduct. And then there's the asanas. This is what you see in a lot of yoga boutiques, yoga studios. This is what they focus on a lot, the breath work and the asanas. It's really just one branch. This is like the beginner of yoga systems. But there's also the pratyahara. This is the sensory withdrawal, and many more. Tantra is more of directed to outcome, and yoga is the purification. Kundalini is the middle. So let's say if you want to manifest something, this is why I like using Tantra and Kundalini, because it is both. I use Qigong for more of my purification and movement of my body. But either one, whatever works best for you, is just listening to your body is really key. When I started, I thought I had to go to a certified person or a teacher. In Asia, it's the opposite because there are people who already practice meditation for years and years, and then they get certified, and then they are able to teach others. Meanwhile, in the West, we often get certified first and then practice. But having certification doesn't mean they are a good meditation teacher. And again, going back to discernment, right? If you feel called to a teacher and a teacher knows a lot of things, you can feel their frequency, you can feel how honest and true they are. Listen to your body because there's also a lot of people who are intelligent, but they lack embodiment. The West often prioritizes qualification, and in Asia, it's more about being a good teacher, like really incorporating Tantra in your daily life. There is a lot of certified teachers, but it doesn't mean they are qualified, right? Because the old system, they didn't need permission or a certification. They just did it anyway. So one of the reasons why Tantra is really good for high performers, for people who wants to achieve things, wants to create businesses, legacies, is that it metabolizes negativity. It metabolizes a lot of your traumas, your impulses, you're exerting influence, your wealth, and then you're having compassion, knowledge, understanding who am I, my why, plus your kundalini, your life force. So now you have your rocket fuel and you're ready to build, you're ready to create, and you'll get to your destination a lot faster. These yoga studios that you often see, it's almost like the stretching before the marathon. It's going to be a lot harder to really grow spiritually. You'll be in level 3 for a long time unless you understand the deeper philosophies. And meditation, Kundalini, again, is like the rocket fuel. You are understanding the quantum mechanics of things. So, the recipe for psychosis is when somebody is depressed, they're not grounded, and they go into these retreats. It opens up their chakra insanely and it shoots their consciousness way, way up in higher dimensions. And they're not able to integrate and ground these frequencies in their body. It's like somebody throwing you into the ocean. That's why we gradually open your aperture instead of blowing yourself out. The West often prioritizes people talking or the extrapolation into thinking. And the East is more of a direct observation. The main rhythms of tantric practice is the gradual path and the direct or rapid path. They are different destinations, just kind of different speeds or levels of risk. So the slow or gradual path, if you notice Thich Nhat Hanh, he's really good with the eating meditation and stuff like that. It's called the outer or right hand approach. This is the purification, ethics, study, and steady meditation. You build the vessel slowly until it can hold strong energies without being flooded. So, your daily refuge, mantras, visualization, prostrations, your breath work, these are kind of the bricks, the foundations. And the practitioner learns humility. You learn about compassion because compassion is going to be so necessary because you're going to be processing a lot of things, a lot of trauma, and self observation. It is a long apprenticeship in steadiness, progress, feels subtle, but it is stable. That is called the Mahayana, meaning the great vehicle. And it grew early from the Buddha's teachings and it puts weight on compassion and wisdom. You learn to see every moment of life as a chance to cultivate patience and compassion. This is the gradual path that clears the ground. It trains perception and builds the character that can later hold deeper practices. The second fast lane path or the direct path is the inner or left hand approach. And this is described as the lightning because it works through your direct experience. Instead of slowly removing obstacles, you use strong emotions, desire, anger, even confusion, grief. This all becomes a part of the practice. And the idea is that everything is already sacred and nothing has to be rejected. The same energy that binds you can liberate you if it's met with fullness. Because it opens the system quickly, it requires a lot more mature foundation, such as ethics, grounding, guidance. Otherwise, it can become unbalanced, the mind and the body. So we call this the Vajrayana, meaning the diamond or thunderbolt vehicle. It arises out of the Mahayana view, but it adds more methods of the Tantra. The diamond refers to both its indestructible nature and the speed which can cut through illusions. The Mahayana forces more of a cause and effect over lifetimes. If you've activated your Kundalini, it begins from the recognition that through that awakened state, you're already present. This is where we practice the same mantra, visualization, subtle body work, DD yoga. They're designed to reveal that directly. So it's the rapid path, but it also rests completely on the Mahayana's foundation for compassion and ethical clarity. So the Mahayana essentially gives you the view and the heart, and the Vajrayana gives you methods to realize them quickly. One that builds the ground, and the other one is a launch pad. I was initiated into the Vajrayana because I had a spontaneous awakening when my light body got even more activated because I had the COVID shot. When I was still in healthcare, we didn't really have a choice. They made us do it. That period shook me on several levels. My work in healthcare, the stress of the pandemic, the feeling of having no choice, and then there's this sense that something intense opening inside of me. Awakening often brings this overwhelming energy and new perception. And whatever name you give it, it is the body and the mind reacting to extreme pressure and change. Our bodies and our hearts have a fail safe mechanism. And, when there is distress, it kicks you out of the sleep state and your body goes into this hyperdrive where it jolts you and tries to reorganize, reboot your body. When those sensations or insight feel powerful, the most helpful thing you can do is to really anchor them in simple things like sleep, meals, time outdoors, slow breathing, quiet reflection. It's the basics that really anchors you back into this reality, and sometimes it can get confusing or physically uncomfortable. Talking with a meditation teacher or a mental health professional who understands spiritual practice can really help you get balance. Our heart is one big ecosystem. It is a whole constellation. And again, it has time locks that tells your system when to fully awaken, and your spine also holds these seals. When people talk about light body, they usually mean that the way attention, emotion, and physical sensations interact. When you feel safe and open, breath and circulation starts to change. Your posture changes and your nervous system begins to synchronize. You can literally feel warmer, more spacious, sometimes as if life is moving through you. If your heart feels locked or blocked, it often just means that your body is protecting itself. Muscle around your chest tightens, breathing becomes shallow, and this is when your energy feels dull. So, when these locks open, the opposite happens. Your body relaxes, your oxygen flow increases, and you just feel lighter again. So, the time locks are essentially about readiness. Your heart, just like the nervous system, will open only when it feels that the moment is safe enough. Here is a simple way to begin building that kind of sensitivity. You can do it sitting, standing, or lying down, any position that feels relaxed but alert. When you're settling into your body, take a few slow breaths and let the muscle around your eyes, jaws, and belly soften. Don't force stillness, allow gravity to hold you, and just being present in the moment and noticing the texture of the air. Know how your skin feels, how your clothes feel. You are listening to the breath without changing it, just noticing how air feels as it moves in and out of you. On the tip of your nose, across your throat, into your chest and belly. This is your first small energy. So you can touch your eyelids, you can touch your eyebrows, you can touch your nose, really feeling the subtle sensations. You bring attention to one small area, such as your palm, the sole of your feet, or the space around your heart. Sense any tingling, warmth, coolness, pulse, or vibration, and let your mind rest on that feeling without naming it. Then you will gradually widen your awareness, include more of the body while keeping the same soft attention. You may start to feel tiny waves of warmth linking one area to another. There's no need to guide it, but just simply noticing. After a few minutes, you can take slower awareness within you, like you can sip a cup of water, maybe going for a walk, a conversation. It's really being about intentional, like moving slower. And the practice isn't separate from life because it teaches you to stay in contact with these subtleties even when you move through your day. The more you move slow, but with precision, you can get rid of things that are unnecessary, like decluttering and being more focused on what are actually important things that I need to do throughout my day instead of feeling so scattered. The big idea of this is that ecstatic states people associate with Tantra is not something we have to chase. It will naturally arise when your attention becomes subtle enough to feel what's already happening. Most of the time, We rush past the small sensations, but the small sensations are the gateway to more bliss. When you get really good at this, you will feel high on life because these neurochemicals, dopamine, ecstasy, serotonin, all of the good feeling hormones is already in your brain. Energy that is scattered starts to circulate, and a lot of these ordinary sensations begin to deepen into more of a warmth vibration and eventually just this quiet bliss inside of you all the time. It's not about reaching a high, it's about refining your sensitivity. That even sending an email feels glorious. The more present you are to the smallest signals, the more alive the simplest moments become, like eating, breathing, touching. That ongoing aliveness is what the old texts we call it the Ananda. Not fireworks, but just this steady radiance. I have two more things so that I can prep you for our next episode because I will introduce more about the Visceros and the dynamic between the Muse and the Titan and the architecture of divine union. So, divine union, which plays a lot within Tantra, is not just romance, right? This is a design principle of the universe. It is what happens when consciousness finds balance between two poles of receptivity and action, between the muse who listens, who receives, who ideates, and then the titan who builds. The muse is the magnetic current. She is the intuition, vision, emotional intelligence, the field that receives inspiration from beyond form. She doesn't chase, she opens. She feels that want to be born before it is her language. She is the one who is bringing all of this ideas and forms, crystallizing it. And then that turns into wealth, money, creation. Her genius is in coherence and pulling threads from the unseen and weaving them into feeling. So, this dynamic is very important because the Titan is the current. It is the one that is forming the structures, and he is focused, discipline, structure, execution. He takes the muse's vision and translates into architecture, systems, form, embodiment. And his genius is in his direction, precision, and stewardship, the 3D realms. So when the muse and Titan meet in harmony, energy circulates. You are creating a massive force field. She becomes grounded and he becomes even more inspired because now his life force is activated and is moving through the rhythm of the cosmos and the rhythm of both of them. She channels the abstract into shape, and then he infuses the practical with spirit. This is the divine mechanism of manifestation, spirit descending into matter through the marriage of polarities. And so when those currents fall out of balance, there is not a good polarity. Distortions appears. The titan without the muse becomes overworked, dry, disconnecting from meaning. Then the muse without the titan becomes unanchored, lost in vision without a vessel. Most modern life mirrors this imbalance. There's too much electric, not enough magnetic. Too much doing, not enough being. The alchemy of divine union restores the circuit. So the Titan learns to listen, the Muse learns to lead through embodiment. Creation then becomes effortless because each polarity can trust the other. It's not hierarchy, but it's more of that synergistic energy that both of you can fuse together. Power meeting presence, action meeting awareness, so that every project, business, and relationship can mirror this cosmic harmony. The muse provides the current, the titan provides the form, and together they build worlds that breathe. So, those are going to be the topics that we're going to be exploring more and more as days and months go by, more into the sacred union Harris Gamos, we're going to be diving into, along with Tantra and the philosophies, and more into this type of leadership because we are balancing these currents of the feminine and masculine. We're not going back to matriarchy, but we are finding a balance in both currents. So, these people who are assigned to have these divine unions, you could have different business partnerships. You don't necessarily have to be married to them, but both of you will have a role in what you are creating or building. Because in order to really materialize things here, higher frequency intelligence, there has to be a receiver and a masculine that can direct this energy. Lastly, I want to talk about Scorpio season because this always carries the deep current no matter what year it is. This sign is about transformation through truth. It is part of the cycle when life invites you to stop polishing surfaces and start to really look what's underneath. Scorpio's energy dissolves pretense and really forcing you to see what is real about yourself, your desires, your connections, your work, and you allow something to die on purpose. Because sometimes destruction is also a form of creation. Not everything you built needs to keep living, and Scorpio is ruled by the process of death and renewal. The moment you stop clinging to what has outlived its use, you make space for vitality to return. You may also notice that you will be meeting your own intensity. So emotions can sharpen now instead of numbing them. You can watch them like weather patterns. And they're here as informations about where the energy is blocked and where life wants to move next. Scorpio doesn't play around, and it's almost like the Scorpios in the desert are finally coming out of their holes. And, when this essence of yours, this energy is not used purposely, it becomes a poison in your field. It becomes poison in your body because that potential is just sitting there and energy is constantly moving. We reclaim our power through honesty, and Scorpio's medicine is radical self honesty. So, the more clear you see the dynamics, what you've been participating in, the fear, control patterns, avoidance, the less power they have. So, transparency becomes liberation. We practice intimacy as awareness because true closeness is not about merging, it's about being fully present while remaining yourself. Scorpio teaches us that real intimacy is born when two people can stand in their own truth without masks. We transmute instead of suppressing these feelings or these desires, this pain, and we let it become fuel. We write, we breathe, we speak. The same fire that burns can illuminate if we really use this energy consciously. So, this season in our lives is asking what is ready to transform and what part of me is afraid to change. Can I start speaking my truth? If you can sit in that inquiry with compassion, the renewal that follows, it will feel like a relief instead of like you are losing something. That is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this podcast today. I have my Fire series, which dives in more about repatterning our behaviors. I just uploaded a new class about the throat and your sacrum. This is the centers that really help and bolster you creating wealth. I have many other resources in our Fire series and meditations on my shop. You can follow me on social media platforms. I will leave everything on the show notes. And I have my quantum resonance architecture, which is us really doing a lot of excavation ready for your expansion. It's been so much fun discussing this with you. I will do more of this more frequently and really the substance. That's what I've been craving lately, even with the books that I'm reading, long format, because I'm getting sick of the short form content and TikTok and Instagram. It's not good for our minds, it's not good for our hearts. So that's why I'm doing all of this long form content. I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave a comment, any recommendations or questions. I'd love to make a video out of them. I want you to remember this mantra: I am fearless, therefore I am powerful. Keep it in your heart, keep it in your mind, in your body, in your sacrum, and I will see you next time.
You ask your allergies why they're such a bother. You feel the melody, sing it if you wanna. You keep scratching your eyes and they keep itching. Either way, I'm in love with your red roses. You tried to dream away everything that happened. Found your frame of reference deep in your siesta habit. Came and woke you up at 7, you weren't trying to have it. Either way, I'm in love with your red roses. You found another planet when the feeling hit you. It hurt to understand that they don't see you with you. Send a postcard, detail of a bigger picture. Either way, I'm in love with your red roses. It's okay to think about how you still think about him. It's okay to think about how you still think about her. It's okay to